Here's the exact quote. He goes, "Do you want the numbers? All right. In year one, we cleared $110 million in retail sales. Sorry, $250 million in retail sales and $110 million gross internally." All right, we're live. What's up?
What's up, dude?
Have you been following this Prime energy drink thing? Or Prime, I don't know what the fuck it is. It's just a Gatorade alternative, right? Have you followed it?
Yeah, I followed it because a while back, I don't know, like a month ago, Ben, business partner Ben, he told me he met some guy who was like involved with it. He's like, dude, the numbers are insane for Prime. Like they're selling, bleep amount of just this one SKU. And like, let alone the main drink. And I was like, there's no way. That's a crazy number. And then I think recently they came out and said some more numbers.
Yeah.
What did they say?
There's two takeaways here. The first takeaway is the numbers. So Logan Paul said the beverage brand he launched with KSI. On January 4th, so about a month or something ago, he said it did $250 million in revenue in the first year. And it did $44 million in revenue in just January of 2023. So recently. And then he also said, but then check this out. Here's the exact quote. He goes, "Do you want the numbers? All right. In year one, we cleared $110 million in retail sales. Sorry, $250 million in retail sales and $110 million gross internally." So the takeaway here for me is, one, that's huge numbers. Two, what the fuck what the hell does that mean? This guy doesn't even know his numbers.
Yeah.
That's second takeaway.
Bro, you're off by half. Like, that's crazy.
Also, what the hell does $110 million gross internally?
What he's saying is they sell wholesale. So because they sell this thing, let's say, at Walmart. So in Walmart, it did $250 million in sales. But to them, they're getting bought at wholesale prices. So the markup is, they basically sell at half price, right? So they sell it to Walmart. They sold $110 million worth to Walmart. So their company sold $110 million. The total product sold $250 million is what I think that has to mean.
Well, crazy that this is that big. I've actually seen a few interviews with Logan, and he says what the numbers are, and then someone from behind the scenes goes, no, it was this. And he goes, wait, what? Oh, my bad. It was this. And it's pretty wild that, like, I think Logan's a smart guy. I would love to have him on the pod and everything. But it's pretty wild how he's really just focused on the content thing and probably doesn't know much about the business thing. It's pretty interesting. I've seen him like ask Mr. Wonderful or something about that, about like different stocks and things like that. And has a pretty rudimentary understanding of like certain finance topics that I thought for sure he would be somewhat on top of, but I guess not. You can crush it without knowing that.
Well, I don't know about that. Like, I think he's like anything else. Like the way we are probably good at business, and we're just enough to be dangerous at the kind of like content, like when we see a YouTuber, both of us have had this reaction where we're like, oh, we're horse carriage operators and a Tesla just drove by. Like This is when I see somebody on TikTok, you might as well be, it might as well be at Hogwarts with a magic wand. I'm like,
yeah, it's like we're not doing something.
I don't know how to do those things and I will never know. And like, it's awesome, but I just can't imagine myself really doing those things at the level you can do them. And so I think he's good enough to be dangerous on the business side and smart enough, obviously, to know what categories to go into and who to partner with. So like, if you look at their moves, right, like just zoom out so that you can't, hear what he's saying or whatever. If you look at their moves, the transition from Vine to YouTube, great jump. The transition from YouTube canceled to YouTube, rejuvenated, that's a good move there. Then from YouTube to boxing, celebrity boxing, he ended up boxing Floyd Mayweather for
and he did all right.
He did all right, yeah. And his brother's, he's one of the most, high earning, boxers out there.
Maybe
he's like not a boxer.
Yeah.
So that's incredible. Then the next jump, for Logan was WWE. So now Logan is one of the big stars in WWE, but he does it on his terms. He then transitioned his YouTube content into podcast content because he's like, I'm maturing.
By the way, have you seen him in WWE? He's really phenomenal. Good. He's really good.
Exactly. Like if I was 13, I'm pretty sure I would think Logan Paul is the fucking shit because I'm 34 and I think Logan Paul is the fucking shit. You know,
he's good. Like he's got the acting down. He's got the he looks ripped. He's good.
And people love to hate on these guys for, sometimes good reasons. They've done some things that are like, whatever. He did the stupid video in Japan. He's he's gotten some trouble for his like NFT thing, but like I don't know. I think there's a lot to learn from and admire in these guys. I'm not saying they're great people, perfect people. I don't know them personally. I can't say either way on that. But I think from a marketing perspective,
yeah, they crush it.
15 out of 10, right? Like from a brand building, from a sort of learning how to keep riding new waves and stay relevant. They're phenomenal in the same way that the Kardashians are phenomenal in some way. And you could disparage them for a bunch of reasons, or you could look at the things they do great and say, cool, I'm just going to take inspiration from the things they do great rather than hate on them in a very common way about, the same stuff everybody else does. So yeah, I think, what he's done here is pretty phenomenal. I think they're kind of, him and KSI are kind of like, minor partners.
I think
in this business.
I think it's like a third type of thing.
The operators get a third here.
Yeah, I mean, I saw an interview and it was either a third or like a 20%, but minority but meaningful. I mean, this can be $1 billion brand.
Dude, I invited him to Camp MFM, by the way, and I was like, "Yo, you should come. It's gonna be awesome." And he was like, "Dude, I can't get hurt." He's like, "I'm doing the WWE. If I go play basketball, I'm gonna get hurt."
Why did he reply to you?
I can't like sprain an ankle or twist a knee and like not be able to go wrestle at WrestleMania in a month.
What platform did you speak to him on?
What happened was I jumped into Twitter Spaces where he was there, and I just started talking there. And then he DM'd me afterwards, and then I was like, "Hey, he had talked about my Clubhouse or Metaverse tweet on his podcast too." And I was like, "Yo, you actually talked about my other thing, that I'm that guy." And he was like, "Oh, cool." And so, a Twitter DM is kind of where we talked.
Dude, that's actually kind of a hack. There's like a handful of YouTubers that have 5, 10, 20 million subscribers who I've chatted with on Twitter, and they only have like 10 or 100,000 followers on Twitter, and their fans, children, aren't using Twitter. And it's such a good way to like get in front of them. And I've actually pulled that move a few times on Twitter. It's pretty. I'm shocked it works.
That's genius. It's just not the same without thousands of roaring fans chanting our name, signing, people's backs and shit like that.
Hairy backs.
Hairy backs.
Sweaty backs. You want to do a recap? Yeah. So basically, the gist of this is Shaan and I did a somewhat impromptu, it was supposed to be a meetup, turned into like a live performance basically in Vancouver. I don't know how many people were there, between 1,000 or 1,300-ish, but we sold out this theater in Vancouver. It went pretty great. You want to talk about a few things that surprised you?
Yeah, let's do that. Okay, surprisingly hard to be on stage, even though we kind of at this point talk for a living. There was a moment about an hour before where we're both like, how do you use your tongue? Do you touch it against your teeth when you're making sounds? What do you do with that? And we just had no idea what to say. It was like, the moment of panic where it's like, are these people even coming for us? Who are they? Did they sell the tickets, or did people just click maybe? We just questioned everything for a moment. What are we going to say up front? How do we make this amazing for people? And
there was really no thought that went into this. Like 1 hour, we went and got sushi ahead of time, and we were like, so what do you want to talk about? We talked about that for 5 minutes, and then we started talking to each other about family and just fun stuff. But
yeah, we had like a 10-minute powwow to try to figure it out. But I think it turned out okay. I think the content turned out. We're pretty tough critics of ourselves. I think we gave the overall event an 8 out of 10. And I think it was not a 10 because I think it was a little poorly structured. Like the opening part was a lot of intro, welcome to thank our sponsors, that sort of thing. And also we weren't as well prepared as we could have been in terms of like, we could have come up with things that play better live than on stage. Like I had the moment of clarity afterwards. I was like, oh, it's a show that's live with the audience. We should be doing things like A, B, and C.
Yeah.
And we didn't fully get that, but we did like a little Shark Tank pitch competition. We did Q&A. We did some stuff with the crowd.
Dude,
so I think that was good.
All things considered, I thought it was actually a 9. I think like given the amount of preparation and the amount of fun people had, another shocking thing was people came. I think the value in order was to see us, to meet one another, then to actually hear what we had to say.
Yeah, right. Right, exactly. And I think there was some benefit in doing it in Vancouver, where there's probably just not a lot of events going on for entrepreneurs or tech people that are like exciting. Versus, I think if we had done this in San Francisco, we probably would have got more numbers, but they wouldn't have cared as much. Right. Like there was a lot of people at this thing in Vancouver that traveled from Toronto or from Portland or from different places to come see it because, oh, might as well. It's a couple hours away, and there's not going to be another thing like this anytime soon where I'm at. So, anyways, those were some quick recaps. I guess if people weren't there, what should we explain? What did we actually do? So it was me, you, and Andrew Wilkinson on stage. It was in this theater, so there's like a balcony seating. There was like basically a giant theater where like a comedian would normally play. In fact, backstage as we're walking up, it was truly humbling, and I mean humbling in the most shit on myself way, which was we were walking up to the stage, and it's like these framed pictures of guys who were in that same green room before us. It's like Jerry Seinfeld, Dave Chappelle. It's like all these like legendary comedians. And it's like some of the best podcasters that you've ever seen in the entrepreneurship category on Apple Podcasts.
Dude, it was humbling. Another thing that was humbling was after it happened, we left the stage and we went and just hung out with people, and there was just a huge line. And what it made me realize was that, so a lot of people don't realize this, but it's basically Shaan and me and producer Ben, Jonathan sometimes, and we are sitting here just recording, talking to each other. We forget on a regular basis that it's being recorded. When the podcast gets published, we don't see comments. We don't know, like we could see the numbers, but it's just like an analytics screen. I don't know who's listening, right, why they're listening. I don't know any of that. And so you forget that this stuff actually kind of matters to some people. And it's really fun to go and meet people who consume your thing and realize, wow, this actually matters to them. That was humbling as well. And that,
there would be like a father and son be like, we always listen to the pod together, and then we brainstorm. He's 14, but he wants to be an entrepreneur like you guys. So after we listen to the pod, we then brainstorm and do stuff. It's like, oh, that's really cool. This is like embedded in your kind of like family a little bit. There were examples like that were very surprising to me, but cool. Also, I should say, you were good at that. Like, you were really good on stage. Sam was, I don't know what happened. I think the nicotine pouch kicked in and Sam went to another level. I'm going to start doing nicotine, dude. That was a great ad for that. Sam had great jokes. And then afterwards also, I feel like in the meet and greet, you were good at being kind of the celebrity. Like, I didn't know what to do with my hands. People would come up and be like, can I take a picture? And my response was like, why? Oh, yeah, sure, I guess. And then they would stand next to me and I would do this like point thing to each one of them, like this guy. Like if you go look on the Instagram, every picture with me, I'm just doing, nah, it's about this guy right here, whoever the fan was. And you were giving them the billionaire hug, which I don't know if people picked up on, but you taught me this afterwards. I didn't know this trick. Explain the billionaire hug.
So I have a theory that once you hit $1 billion, you get like invited to this like seminar and they teach you how to do a billy hug, which is basically when you hug someone, your hips and ass are in one direction, but then your shoulders and arm lean hard to the right. And so you could be touching them shoulder to shoulder, but ass to ass, you're never touching them. And this is like a way to like, look, we're touching and I'm being affectionate, but like my crotch isn't in the vicinity. Therefore, it's safe. It's all good. This is PC. And so I do the billionaire hug. I also bring my wife along to all these things as well, because it always freaks me out. I'm like, I don't know, man. I don't want anyone to get the wrong idea. Sometimes, it can be uncomfortable every once in a while. So I do the Billy hug. I'm not a Billy, but I did the Billy hug because I've learned from Billies.
Is it a sexual thing? Is it like, you're keeping your wallet away from them? What are you doing? Why do the hips need to be away? Is there even an explanation, or it's just something that only billionaires would understand?
It's just a time-honored tradition. I don't know. I'm not there yet, so I don't know, but it's like singing in the shower. I copy my heroes. So that's why I do it. And this is a man and a woman thing, by the way. It's from the men as well. I've noticed that sometimes we have this relationship with people where they hear us talk and they think, oh, you're so approachable. And sometimes they'll come up to me and they'll go, dude, let's fuck. Let's do this. And I'm like, whoa, you're coming on too hard to me. I know I say this stuff, but you're coming on too hard. So sometimes you need to set some boundaries. And that's my mini boundary. It's the crotch boundary.
Right. So we had our buddy Andrew on there. Andrew was really funny too. I gotta say, Andrew, who's been on the pod a bunch of times, I'd never met in person. So I've talked to him on the phone. We've done Zoom calls. He's come on the pod. But in person, I got to say, he's got a lot more juice than I expected. And
Dude, tell the story about dinner or lunch.
so we go to lunch. So before the show, we're like, "Oh, dude, we got to hang out, man. He's kind of from this area." I thought Vancouver, BC, it's all the same thing. Actually, you got to take a seaplane, or a helicopter. So he took a fucking chopper to come meet us, which is honestly one of the more big dog moves anyone's ever done to me.
The reason we knew it was a big dog move because he was like 5 or 10 minutes late, and instead of saying, my flight was delayed, he said, "I was late for my flight," and I was like, "Wait, what?"
yeah, that's subtle. I didn't pick that up. I just heard over what he called on the phone. It was just, I just heard the chopper going, and I was like, "Hey, wait a minute, is there a fan on near you? What is that?" So he lands, and before he lands, he goes, "I'm going to be 5 to 10 minutes late." Again, I was late for my flight. And then he goes, "Just order me."
And he had a list.
This order to me and Sam. He goes, 8 oysters, 2 salmon nigiri, this whatever Wagyu steak, a miso soup. I have a nut and shellfish allergy. I'll die if somebody does that. And then he just signs it off. "Thanks, but just THX." And so, I see this. I was running late too, as per usual. I was in the shower at this point. I just started laughing. Sam replies, "What did you say?"
I was like, "Did you just say thanks to me?" Like, "Yes, sir." I mean, it was like ridiculous. And he was like, "Sorry."
He tried to blame an autocorrect. We're like, "Nah, bro, you're just used to talking to people too much like that. You have people who let you get away with that. That shit might fly in Canada, but you don't bring that weak THX shit to the United States of America. We reject that. We send that back." So we go to lunch, and we're having a good time. We're just catching up. Again, Andrew's got the juice. He's got the juice in the way that my best friends, who I look up to the most, have that juice. You have that too. When you hang out in person with Sam, he's got a little bounce in his step. And it just seems like he's eager. He's excited. He's got a plan. Wherever you go, it's not going to just be a default normal experience. Something a little more fun is going to happen. Something a little extra is going to happen. A little more laughter, a little more, learning. Something extra is going to happen. So Andrew had that, which was awesome to see, because he's quite, I don't know, would you say like reserved or calm? He's got almost like a calm brand, but in person, his energy was a lot more
kinetic,
freewheeling, and I liked it.
He had a very kinetic energy where he was physical. He was moving.
Yeah, he was. That's a great way of putting it.
Yeah, he was kinetic. He had that. I have that too. People always yell at me because I've got big thighs and I shake. And whenever I shake my thighs, the table moves. And they're like, "Dude, you're too kinetic." So yeah, he's got that kinetic energy. And we're having this wonderful lunch. It's probably an hour and a half in. And then we're not quite done eating yet, or at least it doesn't feel there. And then all of a sudden he goes, "Oh, shoot." And we're like, "What?" It's like a panic. He goes, "Dude, my Uber's been outside waiting for me for 10 minutes. I got to go. Bye." And he just stands up and walks away. And we're like,
he was even better than that. He just stood up like he was stretching for a second. And then he picked up his jacket and he's like, "I'll see you guys at the place." And we're like, "What?" And he goes, "Yeah, sorry, I got to go. My Uber's been outside for 10 minutes. We're like, "When did you call an Uber?" And he floated away like a balloon. Like he was the grandfather in Up, and he just went away. The house flew away. And then me and Sam were like, "Okay." Was that weird that he just kind of floated away like a balloon?
Yeah, it's like, we'll work on conversation skills later, Andrew. Have a nice day. Yeah, he just kind of bounced.
I had to blow him a kiss. He was floating away so far. It was the only appropriate goodbye.
But in general, the thing was awesome. Now, I'm not going to put you on the spot, but I would like us to do a 5 or 3 thing where a day thing where we could do 3 dates in 5 days. I want to go to C and B cities, so not the New Yorks, not the SFs, something like Denver or Toronto or Kansas City, something where they're what did you call it? Small pond syndrome. That's what I want to be. I want to be a big fish in a small pond, because these people were
big piss in a small pond.
That's a hard word to say. But you want to do it?
You have a little something on your shirt here. I think you got a little taste of fame. little dribble of that fame that just stained the shirt there. You liked that taste of fame, didn't you?
Well, here's why I like it. We've talked about
We
this.
know why you like it.
Yeah.
Because being famous is awesome.
It is awesome, but it is exhausting. Now I understand why, like, the touring bands who last a long time, they show up, they do the concert, and they go home and go to bed. I was like, I couldn't sleep because we hung out with everyone, then we had like a breakfast the next day. But anyway, I liked it because it was a challenge. I also think that in our little tech world, we assume that we're this little niche internet nerds, which we are. But it's actually cool to like flex and see the people, and honestly felt like a movement. And there was times where I felt it was you and I were great at what we do, but in reality, we were just an excuse and like a steward of like a particular type of movement of these people who are like, you know, we're all on a journey. Some people are further ahead. Some people are not there yet. Some people don't want to go far. Some do, but they're all going someplace. And it felt like we were just an excuse to gather those people. And it really felt beyond and bigger than us. I know that sounds woo-woo and shit like that, but that's truly how it felt. And so that's why I thought it was cool.
I agree 100%. At first, I felt so excited. I was like, man, I can't believe we sold out this theater. There's 2,000 people on the wait list. They came to see us. And I think there was a small part that was like, or that's like the stated excuse. But the reality is that the value was just, if you like this podcast, that's put you through a bunch of filters. And the filters are like a lot of our sayings, right? So it's like, you know, no small boy stuff, right? So it's like people who want to think big for themselves, but they define what big means for them. But it's also people who don't take themselves too seriously. If you want the smartest podcast, you should go listen to Invest Like the Best and go listen to All In and go listen to a bunch of podcasts with people who are, their intellectual horsepower outruns ours, right? The oven burns a little hotter for those guys than it does for us. If you want somebody who, like, we will celebrate a dude who's like a plumber that's hacking the yellow pages to get more leads, as much as we will a guy who's building a new city or a new country, you know, from scratch. And so there's like this set of people who appreciate the same things we appreciate. And when you put them together, we're like, it's not easy for them, I think, in their day-to-day life to be around a bunch of other people who are like them, the sort of schemer and dreamer, a profile or archetype. And so that's what I saw was the best, because it was like, oh man, sorry you guys had to wait. They're like, no, it was awesome. I was in line with a bunch of other people who were, I met this guy who's doing this and this guy who's doing this. And I said, oh, wow, okay, that makes sense to me. Like, the real value here wasn't coming and getting a selfie with me as I do my awkward point. It was actually just getting to be in a community of other people who have the same sort of freak energy that you have. And then once I saw that, I was like, okay, this makes sense. We should do, more of this.
Dude, I met a guy, like, there was a couple billionaires in the crowd. I don't know if you know that, and I'm not going to call them out, but I met one of them, or at least their stake, and they own multiple, they have large stakes in multi-billion-dollar companies. And I remember I met one of them, and he was like a typical, like, dorky guy. And then I met this other guy who had a sheetrock business that, like, it's like a blue-collar thing, and his hands were just so meaty and fat. And I remember shaking his hand, and I told him, I was like, dude, I can't even wrap my hand around your hand, and I'm not small. And I was like, dude, that's sick. We got the neck beards. They had the callous hands guys. And and this guy, one of the guys, I go, yeah, just, DM me on Twitter. He goes, okay, cool. You'll see me. My Twitter handle is called fucking manly. And that's what he said to me. And I was like, all right, that's badass, dude.
That guy gave us a hat. Yeah, he said something. He's like, my wife has a big Instagram following for women stuff, so I decided to create fucking manly to like counteract that. I thought that was awesome. I want to tell you about one woman who I thought had a really interesting story.
I know her well.
That came out.
I know her well.
So I was at there was a dinner the night before that the Tiny Guys hosted, and at the dinner met some people. Whatever, it was good. One woman came up and she goes, she's like, "Hey, my name's Anya. Big fan, blah blah blah." And then she gave me a little like quick high five. She goes, "I just made my first million." And I was like, "Nice. What do you do?" And she was like, "Well, I created this app for people with panic attacks. It's called Rooted." And I was like, "Panic attacks? Is that like an app for panic attack?" I never would have even thought about that niche. And she's like, "Yeah, I struggled with it like crazy. And so then I created this app." So she pulls out this app called Rooted, and rooted as in like, feeling grounded instead of having, this sort of panic attack. And there's like a red panic button you can hit if you're feeling something in the moment, but there's also just like sleep. There's like lessons where you can learn about like, what is this thing and why does this happen to me?
Like drills and breathing exercises.
Breathing exercises, and so on and so forth. And she said she has had 2 point something million downloads of this app. And I thought, okay, that's pretty great.
That's not even the crazy part.
Then I was like, wow, are you just really good at Facebook ads or what? She goes, no, I don't do any paid marketing.
Yeah.
And I was like, so how do you get 2 point something million downloads off this? She goes, well, I think, it solved a real problem. And also I dominate like the App Store search for this because everybody else went really broad. They tried to go for like sleep or anxiety or breathing. And I went for panic attack because everybody else thought that was too narrow. And I just really like did a good job owning that in the App Store, ASO, right? Instead of SEO, the App Store optimization. And then I started getting good reviews and it just snowballed. And now I'm like the top one in that. And I thought,
did she tell you how big of the team was?
Exactly. So I was like, she's already halfway to being my hero at this point. And I go,
and this is her first business. This is her first business.
I go, seal the deal for me. How big's your team? She goes, it's just me.
Yeah. Crazy, right?
I go, what? And she goes, yeah, it's just me. I have a couple contractors that, help me with things, but there's no employees. I don't want any employees. And I was like, I want to be you. She's building something that has an impact. She dominated it her way when anybody else would have, like, if she went to go ask, smart guys like us or, go ask some mentor, what should I do? They'd either say, go ask an investor. They'll say it's too small of a market. Go ask a mentor. They'll say, well, you need to, what's your growth strategy? And she's like, I don't know. I just want to build a useful product and like, I'll figure it out as I go. Third is like, you need to scale up. You're no way. Cause she's closing these deals now with like healthcare companies where they'll just provide it for like, all of the members of their gold plan. So like they'll pay for it for 50,000 members or something like that now. And, do you need a BD rep and a sales team and all this stuff? She's like, no, I just go take the meeting myself. And it took some time, but we got the deal done.
She said she meets them on LinkedIn. She goes, I just messaged them on LinkedIn.
Fantastic. So I thought, Anya, shout out to her. She's got the, I don't know, not Billy of the Week, not blue collar side hustle. She's something else, but like, the Riches and Niches Award of the Week, goes to her because I thought that was a pretty amazing story.
No, it was amazing. And this is her first business. And so like, everything that she said or everything that she has done, if you told me, like if she told me the idea, which is, I've never done anything tech related before and I can't code. I'm going to hire contractors overseas to do this. I don't know anything about marketing. I'm like, oh, everything you're saying, you're going to lose. This won't work.
Right.
And she completely has pulled it off. And if you go to the reviews, did you look up her app? I mean, it's legit. Like there's like, I think it's like a 4.9 rating. It's like a really high rating, thousands of reviews, and she completely has pulled it off. I'm almost positive it's only 2-ish years old. Like it's not
right.
And then she also just went full time as of recently. So this was like
she
side
just
thing.
Started monetizing. It's like most of the app is free. She's like, yeah, I want most of the app to be free. Because obviously I'm trying to help as many people as I can. I'm trying to find that balance where it's a sustainable business, but also most of the app's free. And I just thought that was a badass story. There was a bunch of people there that had like really big stories, but to me, that was a really, just an incredible win. And she had a kind of an intensity about her.
Oh yeah.
That you could almost tell when you were talking to her, like, okay, even though on paper, you got no attributes, right? And we all know the rule. You got to have some attributes if you want to win. She didn't have the experience. She didn't have the skill of certain things, but she did have a certain level of intensity. And you could see that just in talking to her, like just the way she came across. She came across like a person to be taken seriously. And like, she was like a very small person. It wasn't like her stature. She didn't have a natural knack at that. It was just the way she was talking that stood out to me.
Did you meet the Vessi guys? So VESSI?
Yeah, we went out for lunch.
So I don't know if I can say what they do. Maybe you could say, but if they told you the numbers.
No, I'm not gonna say any numbers, but Tony was the guy who's there as the founder, and they make awesome shoes. Apparently, I haven't tried them, so I can't.
Dude,
say.
They're hardcore in Vancouver, and so the lady at my hotel saw me wearing them, and she goes, "Oh, you're wearing Vessis. Those are happening." So basically, she didn't say they're happening because she's not 60 years old, but she said they're cool.
Those are jazzy fresh.
Yeah. But anyway, so it's this shoe called Vessi. They look just like tennis shoes, but apparently they're like waterproof, which is a big deal in Vancouver because it rains a lot and it's wet. And the guy bootstrapped the company, and he told me the top line revenue, which I don't know if we can say or not.
Just say it and we'll bleep it.
Okay, fine. We'll say it and bleep it, but over. And so basically, you guys didn't hear what I just said, but we're talking we're talking in the same ballpark of like an Allbirds or something like that, like a publicly traded company, quite huge, completely bootstrapped. And I started talking to him, and he's like, "Hey, I want to I'm thinking about like getting popular on Twitter." And then he started talking to me, and I started giving feedback. And then he told me about the company, and he told me the size, and I'm like, wait. Why do you want to be on Twitter? You realize this is totally not worth your time, and you are like way better than any of the thread boys, including me. Don't go on Twitter, dude. Just keep crushing it. And the company that he had was entirely bootstrapped, and it started as a Kickstarter. So he was like, I was like, why are you guys so good? He said negative cash flow, negative cash cycle, which means, people
they sell the stuff before they have to pay for the goods.
Yeah, he's like, we just have good terms with a manufacturer, and we started as a Kickstarter, so it's been profitable since day one. And this is another thing where it breaks all types of patterns that I thought possible. So starting in Vancouver. Vancouver's not a big city. I think the metropolitan area is like 800,000. Or sorry, the metropolitan area is 2 million. The city is only 800,000. So it's not like an epicenter.
Dude, I went for a run and I ran across the city, and I don't run. So it's not that big.
Yeah, and it's like not that big of a city. It's in Canada, which I didn't realize how Canada's kind of podunk. Like it's like there's only like 30 million people in that whole place. It's like,
yeah, Canada has the same population as California.
It's crazy. In the same population as like the metropolitan New York area. I mean, it's
but the size but it's bigger than the United States in terms of like the actual land mass. So it's like it's a lot of empty space, or a lot of space per person.
Yeah, like it's not that big. And it's a little behind in terms of like, it's not like a sophisticated place, which isn't bad. But like, I remember when I went to the airport and they checked my passport in such an odd location. And like, I remember they checked it like as I was going to the security thing to like scan my body, not ahead of time. I'm like, oh, you guys know it would be way faster if you do this, whatever. And so anyway, I met this guy and his company kills it. And so he, huge company in Vancouver, dominated Vancouver. They loved the shoes there. Everyone was talking about it. Incredibly quiet and nice. No frills about them.
They opened up a physical store in Vancouver.
You saw the video of that?
Yeah, the video of the line. There's like a line like half a mile long. And I was like, yeah, is this like a marketing stunt? You like paid people to stand in this line? He's like, no, these are like actual customers.
No, he's like, it's Monday.
Bleep this too, but he said they're going to do out of their retail location this year. I was like, what the hell? That's an absurd number.
It's crazy. This guy was really, really cool. So I'm happy I got to meet him. But anyway, good weekend. We had a good time. We'll do it again.
Our software is the worst.
Have you heard of HubSpot?
See, most CRMs are a cobbled together mess, but HubSpot is easy to adopt and actually looks gorgeous.
I think I love our new CRM. Our software is the best.
HubSpot. Grow better.
Do you want to talk about, you have another topic or you want me to go?
I got one, and then but let's do this one first. So we went international. We went
abroad.
Some might say offshore. They'd be wrong, but you could say offshore. Yeah. And it got me thinking about
off a shore
companies offshoring money. And like, I don't know about you, but I've always heard about this. But if you had ever asked me to explain, wait, how do companies like offshore? What's a tax haven? Like, how do these things work? Do you actually know how this shit works? Because
no,
I went down a random rabbit hole last night, and pretty interesting stuff.
Dude, I have no idea what the word tax haven means. I didn't
know really how this actually works.
I don't know what it means, but I like using it. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know. I don't
really want one.
Yeah. Like it's right under Shell Corporation. When people talk about,
well, actually, they're related. All right. So here's the kind of the headline or the takeaway, which is that companies like Nike, Apple, huge companies, right? The companies that we've all heard of use this. This is not just like, shady crypto guys that are opening up a company in the Bahamas or whatever. It's like, the most blue chip of blue chip companies. Apple at one point had like $300 billion offshore overseas that they weren't bringing back into America. Why? Because here's the general like first principles explanation. So every country has a tax rate. So let's say in the United States, the corporate tax rate, let's say, is 21%. Well, if you make money here, you're going to pay 21% on all your profits. But if you're able to shift those profits so that they're taken in another country, you can use that country's tax rate. Well, guess what? There are several countries that have a tax rate of pretty much zero. And so what these companies do is, like, I'll give you an example of Nike. So Nike did this brilliant thing that resulted in Nike paying, like, I don't know, something like 3% a year tax rate on billions and billions of dollars of revenue and profits. And so how did they do this? Well, what they did initially was they created a shell company. There we go. Bingo. A shell company in Bermuda. And the shell company in Bermuda owned the swoosh, like the trademark to the Nike check. And then what happened is, company in the United States is selling shoes, and it might rack up, let's say, $10 billion of revenue, or even like gross profit. So, like, after taking out into account the shoes and the shipping and all that. Well, normally they just have to pay the tax on the 10 billion. Well, what they would do is the swoosh company in Bermuda would then charge them 9 billion, let's say, in royalty payments, saying, hey, you're using the swoosh, you got to pay us for that. So all of a sudden, the taxable income in the US goes from 10 down to 1. And now they just pay the 20% on the 1 billion. And the 9 billion that the Bermuda company got pays a tax rate of 0, right? So their effective tax rate goes way, way down. And so this is what they did initially. And then, and this lasted for, like, some period of time. But then they kind of closed these loopholes over time. So Nike had this set up in the Netherlands, and they had this set up in the Netherlands where they had, some Nike international company over there. They were doing this where in the Netherlands, they didn't have to pay taxes on the money for some period of time, because there was like a rule where on royalty income, you don't have to pay taxes. So they're like, great. All the revenue this company's making is the royalty income from the IP, the swoosh trademark that we're renting out, basically, to our other companies. And so they were not paying any taxes on Europe, Middle East, whatever. And then what happens is, after 10 years, people start complaining. They close that loophole. The politicians high five. They're like, we did it. These big corporations are going to pay their fair share. And Nike goes, oh, hold on. Let me, they get the BlackBerry out. They call up the lawyer. They say, hey, one hole closed, open up another, please. Hang up the phone. And the lawyers get to work, and they realize we could do something different. Here's what we'll do. We'll create 2 Dutch companies, and one of them will have a director in the United States, because here's what happens. In the United States, the law says if the company is incorporated somewhere else, it should be taxed in that country. And then in the Netherlands, it says, well, if it has US directors, it's going to be taxed in the US. So it's kind of like those those movies where, like, the 2 guys are pointing, he's got it. No, he got it. Wait, what? Nobody's been taxing this thing? And so they had what was called a stateless company, a company that was taxed nowhere, which is called Nike Innovate CV. And it paid 0 taxes, basically. And so companies like Nike have been able to do this. Apple does the same thing. Facebook does the same thing. I don't know if you've ever seen, like, why all these tech companies have offices in Ireland.
Yeah, in Dublin. Everyone has a Dublin
And
office.
I was like, wow, okay, is it the fantastic world-renowned engineering talent of Dublin? What is the reason for this? And the reason is because there was something called the double Irish strategy, which said if you have one Irish company that owned the IP, and then another one that was just like a subsidiary of it, and then that one had U.S. director, same thing, 0 taxation. And so for 5 years, I think Apple made $30 billion through their Irish companies and paid 0 taxes on it. And I just think this is incredible how they do this stuff. And by the way, Tim Cook goes and he stands in front of Congress. There's this amazing clip where he goes, Apple pays every dollar that they owe in taxes. We don't depend on tax gimmicks. We don't stash money in some Caribbean island. It's like, yeah, you stash it in Ireland instead. Like, what are you talking about here? And then, like, they've kind of shut that double Irish strategy down. And then and then Apple goes, and this all got leaked from this thing that you probably remember called, do you remember, like, the Panama Papers?
Yeah.
When that got leaked?
Yeah.
Do you know what actually happened there?
A bunch of Panama was a country where this happened, and I don't know how it got leaked. I think the accounting firm that did a lot of the work for people got hacked.
Exactly. The 4th biggest law firm was something called Mossack Fonseca. And basically, this is the 4th biggest law firm. They're known for, like, creating shell companies and all this stuff. They got hacked, or not hacked, actually. Somebody just leaked 11 million documents.
Oh, my God.
They don't know who leaked it, but somebody was like a whistleblower, leaked this thing. And there was like this team of journalists that looked at it for a year before finally going forward and publishing the Panama Papers. Well, after that, there was something called, and that's where like the sort of Epstein and Putin stuff came out of the Panama Papers. Then there was the Paradise Papers, which came after that. And that was leaked from this accounting firm called Appleby. And, and so,
interesting name.
You're familiar. You're a client of theirs.
Yeah. Is there a like a Hooters LLC that can handle my income tax? Like what?
Yeah. These guys do shell companies
and like soft shells, tacos.
Skillet queso.
Yeah. We like all types of shells, shell macaroni and shell companies.
Exactly. So they basically they got leaked too, and then that's when the company stuff that came out as far as, and then you could see Apple going to their law firm. They leaked the emails saying, we've the Irish thing is coming to an end. We'd like to find another country that has this favorable advantage. Can you find us something in the maybe in the Caribbean? Like, dude, pretty much the exact opposite thing as he said in front of Congress.
You did something that I think is funny, and so basically, when people discuss these topics, they use all types of words that in itself are not, like by definition, are not bad words, and they actually don't mean bad things, but they use it in this context, and people automatically think villain. And sometimes I find myself using those words on purpose, but like bragging about them. So for example, loophole. You use the word loophole. Why don't we just call it a rule? Like we're just following the rule. This is the rule. We're gonna use the rule. They use loophole. Loopholes aren't bad, just the rule. Another one, manipulate. Why don't we just use like persuade or influence? And so like people use that word manipulate all the time. Another one is exploit. I love that word exploit. I'm like, oh, so to efficiently use something? Like people talk about Amazon is exploiting their workers. I'm like, what does that mean? Isn't that the point? Is we give you money and then we exploit you? Like I myself.
Don't get canceled, Sam. Well, we just got famous, bro. Don't ruin this.
Well, they use these words, and I'm like, that word, like that's the point, is to exploit. We're going to use this in a very particular way, and we're going to use it efficiently. And you just did that, where you use these words, but it's like you're saying the word loophole as if it's a scam, when it's like, no, loophole is the opposite of a scam. It's
right.
We are playing in the rules.
Well, I think that they do mean something, which is that they're within the rules, but not they're within the letter of the law, but not the spirit of the law. And I think that's the difference.
Don't get all
here.
pro bono lawyery on me, bro. There's bro science now. You're doing bro legal jargon.
By the way, Tim Cook actually even said that too in that same clip. He goes, "We not only comply with the letter of the law, but the spirit of the law too," which was, that's a lie. But yeah, I think you're right, which is there are rules of the game, and you can if you play by those rules, you should not blame the player. You should hate the rule maker, right? You should hate the game. And so I think that's where a lot of people go wrong, right? They hear this stuff. When I'm explaining these, I'm not saying Apple and Nike are evil. But when I explain these, I'm really what I'm saying is I never really knew what this meant. I never knew actually how it worked.
Dude, you're a capital J journalist. You're just saying the facts.
I'm a capital man. I think we established that myself. So yeah, I think this is kind of interesting. And then it's like, what's the game theory? So one thing that Trump did, which is actually pretty smart, which is another loaded thing you can't say, was he was like, dude, these companies have like hundreds of billions of dollars overseas. Because what happens is once they get taxed in the low tax place, they can't just move the money back into their, Chase Bank here in America and like, go down to the ATM and pull it out. Like it would get taxed when it comes back. So they leave it overseas. So there's just money that never reaches. And so what Trump did was he goes, all right, look, I'm going to make a one-time exception for you to what's called repatriate the cash, bring the cash back to America. I'll lower the tax rate. It's like kind of like, all right, guys, get in here. Kind of like, the store owner like opens the back doors, like get in.
It's like
you got 5 minutes.
It's like a gun give back. You ever seen those where you can like, no questions asked, just give us your guns. And
Right. Exactly. And I think there's some value to those scenarios. And so he made it like, it's 15% tax on that cash. This is like one time only. If you want the cash back in America so you can invest it here and use it in your corporate activities here, here's your sort of like discount, half price. Come on in. And that brought like, I don't know, 60 or 90 billion back in, but not like the full amount. He thought 4 trillion would come back in, and they just didn't.
Speaking of crazy people and huge men in terms of size and loopholes and tax evasion, I've got a cool story for you. And I have a feeling you know about this person. This is I don't know if he's a Billy, but he's close enough. Have you heard of Kim Dotcom? Do you know who this guy is?
Yeah. He's prolific, as you like to say.
Dude, this guy, that's the phrase here. I was going to say, this guy's a prolific freak. He's a total freak. So this guy named Kim Dotcom has all these interesting facts. And I read about him because he's like 6'7", 350 pounds. This guy's massive. He's huge. And he lives in New Zealand. And him and his wife, he married like a Philippine like beauty queen or something like that. And she divorced him. And these people thought that they were going to she was going to talk shit about him. She's like, no. Like, I have nothing bad to say about him. The marriage didn't work out, but he was a nice guy. And so I started reading about him.
By the way, what's his real name?
It's so Kim Schmitz, but then he was known as Kim, Tim, Jim, Vester, or Kimball. And then eventually he legally changed his name to .com. So the ex-wife kept her married last name, and her name is like Sarah.com. And so like the article refers to her as like Miss.com. It's like, so that's her legal name. So this guy's like,
I'm going to become Shaan Worldwide, aka Mr. Worldwide. This is my wife, Mrs. Worldwide. Nice to meet you.
Dude, the article referred to her as Miss.com. And so check this out. So this guy in the 90s, he starts in Germany as a hacker, and he hacks something like 40 million, or he claims this, but this is not verified. He said he hacked into some like famous bank, and he took $40 million and he donated it to Greenpeace. At least that's what he said. But TBD if that's actually true, because Greenpeace is like, no, that's not true. And then eventually he starts building all these other programs and all this like software that is like mildly successful. And he tries to send, and he's a hacker while he's doing this, doing a bunch of illegal shit. But while doing this, he's trying to send a file to his friend, and the email that he's trying to send it through says, all right, you've exceeded the limit. We can't do this. So he creates this thing called Megaupload, which eventually like gets huge. Have you heard of Megaupload? If you ever download an illegal movie or anything like that, you've probably come across Megaupload. Have you?
Of course. Yeah. Never used it for textbooks, but definitely have used Megaupload in my life.
Yeah, so Megaupload, it's kind of like Napster, but you don't need I don't think it's just a website, so you don't need to download a client. So it's like Pirate Bay, I guess, is a similar one, but again, you still don't need a client. It's just a website where you can like trade files. And it goes viral because all these people would share files, and he would put like Megaupload like in the like image. So like that's how it like grew and got viral. And so anyway, he creates this thing, and it swells. He launches it in 2005, and in 2010, he's able to pay himself $42 million. That was his personal income from that. And eventually, after like 8 years, he gets sued, and Hollywood sues him. I guess I don't know what Hollywood is, but big Hollywood sues him. The government sues him.
The sign.
Yeah, the sign. And they say that he made close to $200 million in personal profit from this whole thing. And all during this, he's doing like this other crazy shit. So out of like 50 million Modern Warfare players, this guy was ranked number one. He was the number one player for Call of Duty. Yes. In 2012, he was the number one person in the world at Call of Duty. He also finished first in the Gumball 3000. You know what that is? It's like a
car race?
It's a car race across Europe. He finishes first. Then he releases an album of original music and he like collabs with other artists. It's called Good Times, and it's not that bad of an album, to be honest. Then he creates the Internet Party, which is a new political party in New Zealand, and it kind of gained some traction. And he's doing all of this while running Megaupload. Well, Megaupload gets sued, and he actually goes to jail for the second time. He's already been in jail for a few weeks, a few months before for his hacking stuff. This time he gets locked up for a longer period of time. And when they arrest him, they go to his house and his compound, and they just swarm it, SWAT style. And in the house, they find like 40 cars, like the nicest cars, like these fancy Mercedes, AMGs, Bugattis, all this shit. They find all this art, but they also find $175 million in cash. This guy had that much money in cash in a room in his house. He's kind of like a proper gangster. I mean, he's like a gangster of the gangster. And to give context, Megaupload had 50 million visits a day. It was like the 7th most popular website in the world at one time. It accounted for 4% of the total traffic in America. and it had 180 million users, and people were transferring 800 files a second on Megaupload. This thing was huge. And it was ran almost like a proper company. He had 155 employees, engineers, customer service admin, all this stuff, and it was wild. And this is a wild story that like I just came across because I was reading about Miss Dotcom, his wife or his ex-wife. Very fascinating guy. This guy's super prolific. He even created this thing called a mega car. So he was trying to launch a car company that was like internet connected, and it didn't like work out wonderfully, but he built like a handful of the cars, but super prolific, very interesting. And I thought that you might have a little bit of stories about this guy. This guy seems like he runs in your world a little bit.
I'm going to send you this. I can't say this on the pod, but we've DM'd before, and I just have to show you what's in this DM. We can't. This is not going to be good content, but you have to see this.
What was it? Just like crazy inappropriate stuff?
I'll send it to you after this. But yeah, this guy is prolific. I feel like he's kind of like the rogue Marc Andreessen.
Totally.
Like Marc Andreessen is also surprisingly massive, a prolific internet guy who was like, had like a bunch of ideals and like took at it. Marc Andreessen just like sort of took more of the straight path, and this guy went rogue. That's kind of how I think about him. I'm blown away by this Call of Duty thing.
Yeah, this isn't like a he said she said thing. I mean, this is like rankings. Like you can actually see like leaderboards, and he was number one.
Yeah, but does he just have like a basement of like 15-year-old Korean boys that are playing for him or something like this? Do I really believe that this guy was the number one worldwide Call of Duty player? That is insane. That is so crazy. That's like, what's the story about the Uber guy, Travis, where he was the number one Wii tennis player in the world or something like that?
I think he was like two. So basically the story is like Chris Sacca, this famous investor, and Travis were like at Chris Sacca's like vacation home. Chris Sacca, Mr. Sacca was there. Travis. That's how we got to, that's how we got to explain the story. So the difference between the two Saccas.
So kind and polite.
So Mr. Sacca and Travis are playing Wii tennis, and Travis crushes the dad, Mr. Sacca. And Travis at the end of the game goes, Mr. Sacca, I've got a confession. And he kind of like, what's that princess movie with like, I don't think the word means what you think it's, Princess Diary. He kind of like throws the Wii controller into the right hand. He goes, I've been playing left-handed the whole time, but I'm really right-handed. And he just like obliterates them even more. And he goes, I have another confession. And he goes to the game, the rankings, and he's like 2 or 3 in Wii tennis. And
he's like the lift of Wii tennis.
7 out of 10. We'll give him. This Kim Dotcom guy, he's crazy, man. I would love to have him on the pod. He's super interesting.
Yeah, that's a crazy story. Also, I feel like he didn't launch his own crypto token. Like the odds of him not doing his own token in the last 5 years, like that had to be like a 1 in 1 million chance of him not doing it.
He probably, he was like indicted by the U.S.
talked
government.
About it.
But yeah, he probably had like, I bet you he was like banned for like, selling securities. I bet you he had some, I didn't look into like what his ban was and what the verdict was. But I mean, he was in like legit trouble. I mean, he was in prison. Right. And so he probably can't. But what's crazy is number one in Call of Duty, number two, that he had $175 million in cash in a room in his house. That's wild. I don't even know. I would like to know how much like physical space that takes up, but that'd be a lot.
Isn't it like always disappointing? It's like, that's just 2 briefcases.
Yeah, dude. On The Sopranos, I was watching last night. They gave a guy $75,000 and it was in an envelope. Like not a manila, like not even the type that you got to go to FedEx for, the type that you have in your home.
I can't tell you how disappointed I would be. Like if I ever am involved with any kind of ransom or if I win some sort of prize, like I need the giant check if I win a prize. And if you're going to give me some cash, like just get it in the smallest bills possible. I want duffel bags. I want like a Costco trolley bringing me the cash. Like if I get something and it's in an envelope, I don't care what's inside. I'm throwing it away.
Yeah. If it fits in my jacket pocket, I'm out. And if and it was like the side pocket of like a suit where you reach in, so those pockets are small, and if fit, and that 75,000 ever fit in that jacket,
keep it.
Yeah,
just keep it.
Yeah.
I bought a lottery ticket in Canada. I didn't win, by the way.
You buy lottery tickets?
Yeah, I have this moment whenever I get up to the counter where my brain just goes into an instant fantasy of like, And then this was the day. And then I'm telling people that I almost didn't buy it, but I just said, hey, screw it. And I bought it and I won.
Dude, that's the stupidest shit ever.
I do that at least 1 out of 3 times I'm at a counter. In the US, they require cash. So that's what saves me from not buying it. But in Canada, you could buy it on your card. It's great.
We're going to wrap there?
Yeah, we could wrap there.
All right. That's the pod. We got to start saying the gentleman's agreement every time, by the way. I keep forgetting to.
Go subscribe to us on YouTube.
That's it.